Hello there and welcome. Welcome to our kitchen. I'm Peggy. And as we head into this wonderful time of the year, well, we have to think about what we're going to serve and what we're going to enjoy with our loved ones. And Chef Lynard is here with me from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And we call this the art of baking. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And you are going to show us today some things that we could do. And you know, there's nothing says love more than something as a gift that you make.
Exactly.
Whether it's a coffee cake or a dessert or a pie, you give that to someone and they know you've taken the time to do something, not just go to a store and buy something.
Exactly.
And you can get your kids involved. They love it.
They do, and that's why I'm bringing out this recipe for chocolate chip cookies today.
Oh boy. Everybody, I don't know anybody that wouldn't want a chocolate chip cookie.
It's actually one of my favorites. It gets about 2 minutes to cool, and then I'm diving
they're ready.
in. Exactly.
Oh boy. Okay. You come to us from the Charlotte, North Carolina area.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we're thank you for taking the time to share with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.
Now you're going to do chocolate chip cookies first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, basically, I've broken down the ingredients to simplify it. I know a lot of people have problems with chocolate chip cookies. They either come out too flat, too crispy, or whatever have you. So to simplify things, of course, we have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Then to that, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda.
All right.
And then we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Okay. And that's baking soda.
Yes, ma'am, and salt. So what we're going to do next is whisk that together.
Now, is this something you could make ahead and even give as a gift?
You can, as far as the dry ingredients, you can put these in jars. The flour and the chips and the sugar. The only thing that you wouldn't put in there is the butter and the wet ingredients.
I mean, you could make the cookies ahead.
Definitely, definitely. But we also like to, if you want to, you can actually freeze the dough. It freezes well.
Okay.
It does.
All right.
So what we're going to do first, actually, is we're going to take our butter and cream it.
Okay.
So we have... This is actually, the secret to the recipe and what makes them really moist is actually a 1/2 cup of butter-flavored Crisco.
Oh, so you're not using real butter.
We are. We actually have a 1/2 cup of butter as well.
Okay, so this is a little bit different.
Yes, so we do have a 1/2 stick of butter that goes in with that.
Okay. So now what you just put in first
was actually butter shortening.
Butter shortening.
It's a 1/2 cup.
Okay, and then you put the stick of butter, real butter.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, so that equals a cup total. Then what we're going to do is just beat this slightly. Don't want to beat it too much or mix it too much. We just want to get it loose. The problem with cookies that fall flat or spread out too fast is that people tend to over-incorporate or beat the ingredients.
Okay.
So next we're going to add a cup of dark brown sugar. You can use light...
Well, that is really, that's, okay.
It is. You can use light brown sugar, but dark brown sugar gives it a richer flavor.
Okay.
So we're going to add that to the bowl. There you go. Then again, you don't want to over mix it. You just want to mix it slightly. From there, we're going to add 2 eggs. Then we're going to incorporate that as well. And while the mixture is actually going, you can go ahead and add a tablespoon of vanilla. All right. So again, don't over mix anything.
Okay.
And then we're going to go ahead and add in our flour mixture, which contains
how much flour?
This is 2.5 cups of flour with 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Okay, and that's just regular flour?
All-purpose flour.
Okay.
All right. We're just going to blend this in until it's incorporated.
I don't know anyone who really, it's kind of a standard. Everybody loves chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly. All right, so when you feel it, the dough actually getting tight, if you're using a hand mixer, that's a good time to stop. Now, most people may have a stand mixer, and that kind of tends to overbeat the batter, which, again, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. Okay.
All right. So lastly, we're just going to go ahead and stir in 2.5 cups.
Put it in there. You don't want to ruin any of that batter.
We'll get it all off.
Okay.
So what we're going to add next is 2.5 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. 2.5 cups.
2.5 cups. And we're just going to stir those in. A good wooden spoon or a spatula works best here.
And this is kind of a standard, chocolate chip cookies.
It is.
Nobody will turn down a chocolate chip cookie.
Again, the secret to these, which I rarely share with a lot of people, is the shortening that you put in. It helps keep its shape without it spreading a lot.
All right.
So from there, what we're going to do is go ahead and put them on the pans. I brought 2 different pans to demonstrate different techniques here. This first pan is what most people may have, or it's a jelly roll pan.
That's kind of your standard, isn't it?
Well, this is the standard cookie sheet here.
Okay.
But this one is called a jelly roll pan, and most people may have this one opposed to the standard cookie sheet.
That's what I have.
Yeah. And what happens is, that you don't know, with the sides on it, the cookie doesn't get the circulation of the air from the heat.
Oh, my goodness. So you really should have the other kind of...
For chocolate chips, I found that it works best.
Live and learn. Yeah, okay.
So what we're going to do, this one, you can bake it on this one, it's perfectly fine, but what I found works better, if you do bake on this one, is to line it with a piece of parchment paper.
Okay.
But you don't want to grease either pan.
You don't put on either one?
On either one, because there's enough grease and fat in the batter already. And what I found easy to actually scoop them out is just a standard size little scooper, like a melon ball scooper.
Yeah.
This one is a little bit bigger. If you like me, I like a bigger cookie.
Yeah, I think most people would.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is scoop these.
And you don't put any
No, you don't want to line. You don't want to put any grease on it.
Okay.
But basically, again, if you are using the jelly roll pan, you can go ahead and line it with parchment paper.
Okay.
It's easy to take it off and clean it up. Now, I did say we were going to go ahead and get this off here, didn't I? Some of that off.
We don't want to waste any of it.
And like you were saying earlier, when you're prepping with your children or your loved ones, normally this is what they do. They get to eat the batter off of it.
You don't have to worry about it, do you?
Exactly. All right. So again, we take the cookie scoop here. All right, there you go. And this pan here will actually hold.
And you did not put any oil or anything
no
on
oil
that
of any
pan.
sort.
Okay.
All right. This one will actually hold a dozen cookies. So that's 12 cookies. Now you want to bake these at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
You can bake it a little bit longer if you like a cookie that's a little bit firmer, but I tend to bake it on the short side because as they're cooling, they're still baking.
Oh, okay.
So 10 minutes is preferably where I like to bake them at.
And you want it to be moist.
Exactly, because as they cool and as they actually cool off on the cooling rack, they're still baking, and of course cookies tend to get a little bit stiffer or harder afterwards.
And this is your favorite recipe for chocolate chip cookies, huh?
It is. I've tried several, but this is the one that stands up time and time again. And again, in my house,
they don't last long.
They don't, because I'm eating at least 2 dozen myself. This recipe actually yields between 3.5 dozen to 4 dozen.
Oh, okay.
And that's if you use a teaspoon.
Chef, can you make these ahead and freeze them?
You don't want to make the actual cookie and freeze it. No,
okay.
It will ruin the texture, but you can definitely make the dough and wrap it in saran wrap, and then you can freeze it.
I'm glad that I asked you that because, you know, this time of year people are busy and they're thinking, oh, I could make that ahead and then I'd have them for my family or guests or whatever. But it's better you can make the dough, but it's better to wait until you're ready to serve
Right.
them almost, till you bake them.
Right.
And you bake this at what?
375
375.
for 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right, so we actually have a dozen here, and
Look
we
at
just
that.
pop these
oh,
in the
they're
oven.
beautiful. Look at that. They're perfect. Okay. You want me to put them in here?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me help you out.
Okay.
All righty.
There we go. Great.
All right.
So that's kind of your famous
Chocolate chip
chocolate
cookie
chip
recipe.
cookies, and they're good any time of the year.
And down here is actually what we have, the end result, right here on our right.
Oh, they're beautiful.
The first one is the one that you bake on the traditional cookie sheet with no sides.
Yeah.
And then you can tell the difference on the ones on our left. Those are the ones that were baked on the jelly roll pan, so they tend to puff up a little bit more since there's not a lot of air circulating.
I like the other ones better, the bigger ones.
Yeah, exactly. The flavoring kind of intensifies a little bit more on the ones you do on the traditional cookie sheet.
Okay. Now we have, of course, thanks to Chef Lynard, the recipes to share with you. And there are thousands of recipes for chocolate chip cookies, but this one is a gem. And if you would like to have it, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Peggy Denny Show, Post Office Box 1616, Greenville, South Carolina, 29602. And the number is 874, recipe 874. We get lots of mail and we have lots of recipes. And if you don't put the number on there, we open the envelope, we don't know what you wanted. So it is recipe 874. Now, Chef, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And what else did you have in mind to share with us?
What I brought today right here is a chocolate chip bourbon pecan pie. So I'm going to share the
boy.
recipe with that as well.
All right, we'll be right back.